What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 7 prediction video. Today I want to talk about Arya Stark and her potential role during the War for the Dawn. But before I get started, I want to talk about the big leak that happened yesterday. By now, I'm sure everybody is probably aware that there was a massive hack on HBO a few days ago, and over 1.5 terabytes of information was stolen, including at least one episode of Game of Thrones, which was episode 4, The Spoils of War. The news of this episode leaking online was all over YouTube and Twitter yesterday, and everybody was blowing me up asking me if I had watched the new episode, or if they wanted me to get the link from them to watch it. And a few of you even asked me if I was going to immediately make a full review about the whole episode. To be honest with you, I would love to drop a full review about that episode right now, but I do not want to do that just yet. But there is one scene that I do want to talk about with you for right now. This clip that I'm about to talk about will be a spoiler for episode 4, so please, if you do not want to hear it, I would recommend clicking off of this video for now. When I got on YouTube yesterday, I noticed people had already uploaded nearly every single scene from that episode, but I was trying my hardest to wait and watch the full episode on Sunday night right along with the rest of the world. But there was one clip that was on YouTube that I did watch early, and the only reason why I watched it was because Sky Atlantic actually released that clip a few days ago, and I already knew what was happening in it. And the clip that I'm talking about is the sparring scene between Arya Stark and Brienne of Tarth. In the preview trailer for episode 4, we can see Arya Stark on her horse overlooking Winterfell. And at some point during this episode, Arya will make it inside of Winterfell's courtyard, and she's going to get into some kind of sparring match with Brienne. I did end up watching the entire fight scene in that clip, but I do not want to show the clip here because I'm not trying to get in any kind of trouble for showing any of the footage too early. But I'm sure most of you have seen it by now and know exactly what I'm referring to. During this training scene, I did notice something very interesting, and I noticed that Arya had the Valyrian steel dagger on her hip already. Now, of course, most of us knew she might end up with this dagger at some point because Entertainment Weekly released photos of a Stark reunion and Arya had this dagger on her hip in all of those photos. I was kind of surprised they revealed that in an official photo, but I'm happy they did. And after watching this sparring clip, it's now confirmed that Arya will have some Valyrian steel. And it's obvious this dagger is very important to the story. This Valyrian steel dagger is the same one that was used during an assassination attempt on Bran Stark's life back in Season 1. Bran Stark ended up witnessing Jaime and Cersei having sex in the tower while they were at Winterfell, and Jaime pushed him out the window, but as we all know, Bran did not die. But it didn't stop someone who was very motivated to make sure Bran was silenced. Thanks to Lady Catelyn and Summer, Bran did survive the second attempt on his life, and Catelyn took the dagger to King's Landing to tell Ned what the hell was going on, and everyone assumed that it had to be a Lannister that wanted Bran dead, because they were really the only ones who had something to worry about that Bran might have seen. The last time we saw this dagger was on Ned Stark's desk, when he had this in his last meeting in there with Littlefinger, and the dagger hadn't been seen ever since. So when Arya all of a sudden pops up wearing this dagger, I automatically assumed she must have killed Littlefinger to get this. But since she's wearing it in episode 4, she must not have killed him just yet to get it, because I don't think Littlefinger would be dead already. But in a strange twist of irony, I do think she will end up killing Littlefinger with this dagger. I think it's safe to say most people probably assume she's going to kill Littlefinger with this dagger, but she may end up doing much more with it. When I was watching this sparring scene with Arya and Brienne, I couldn't help but get excited after seeing just how badass Arya has become. Everyone knows Arya is a certified killer, but we have yet to see her go up against someone toe-to-toe that's as good as Brienne. Brienne's resume speaks for itself. I mean, she's kicked a lot of ass, but Arya has officially leveled up. She already has Stark blood in her, so that makes her special already and important to the plot, unless your name is Rickon, of course. But with the War for the Dawn on the horizon, Arya may end up being very useful, although Jon might not want her on the battlefield. But I think Jon already set the stage for Arya to be out there with him. In the very first episode, Jon said he was going to need every man, woman, and child training to prepare for when the army of the dead comes. And let's be honest here, if you're going to have any woman fighting with you, who would you want to have by your side? It would have to be Brienne, Arya, and possibly even the Sand Snakes if they were still alive. Because at least in a television show, they have been some of the best female fighters we have seen so far. And now that Arya has Valyrian steel, this makes her even more important for the war to come, because everyone knows that Valyrian steel was one of the few things that can actually kill a White Walker. Now, some of you might think Arya is way too young to fight against the army of the dead, but in the television show, I don't think she's a little girl. I don't think they can pretend that this girl playing Arya is 13 years old right now. I think she's at least 18 or older in the show. I mean, it is season 7 now, so many years have went past since we first saw Arya in Winterfell. But there was something else I saw while watching Arya and Brienne train. Arya was dodging her sword just like the White Walker was dodging them at Hardhome. And I really wish I could show you the clip of Arya fighting Brienne, but just look at this clip from Hardhome, and watch how this White Walker moves as the Thenn tries to kill him. Arya was moving just as smooth as this White Walker was, and we haven't seen the best of Arya's skills yet. Arya has already had some of the best training you can ask for so far. She built a nice foundation while she practiced with Syrio Forel back in Season 1. And now she didn't actually train with the Hound, but he did teach her some very valuable lessons. And of course she got her ninja-like skills from her time spent at the House of Black and White while training with Jack and Hagar and the Waif. And now she's already begun to train with Brienne. Although it was quick, I don't think this is going to be the last time that these two train together. And this is where Arya can build up her strength, because she's already got her quickness down. With all this knowledge and skills combined, she's going to be very formidable when the dead come marching on Westeros, and having that Valyrian steel dagger puts her at the top of the list for characters who are going to kill some White Walkers alongside of Jon Snow. All this Valyrian steel is making its way up north for a reason. When the long night sets over Westeros and the dead get south of the wall, I believe every single Valyrian steel sword is going to be in the north at that point, because this will be the first line of defense before the White Walkers and Whites can get any further south. Jon's going to be back in Winterfell with Longclaw very soon, and Brienne is already there with Oathkeeper now, and Arya now has the Valyrian steel dagger, and I think Samwell Tarly is going to lead the Citadel with his father's sword Heartsbane. And I think Jaime Lannister is going to end up in the north too with Widow's Wail. There's only 10 episodes left now, so we're getting very close to actually seeing the war that I know I've been waiting for since the very first episode, and I'm getting very anxious to see it and to see what Arya can do also. This Valyrian steel dagger that she now has also popped up in the book that Samwell Tarly was reading back in episode 1 of this season, and that definitely has some significance too. Not only is the steel Valyrian, but the handle is also made out of dragon bone, and dragons obviously are very magical, and this dagger has multiple magical properties inside of it. There is also a red ruby inside the dagger, and when I look at this red ruby in the dagger, it makes me think of Rhaegar Targaryen, because Rhaegar Targaryen also had red rubies in his armor too. Now that this will be in close proximity of Jon, this could end up having a connection to Jon too, especially now that it's back in the north for a reason, and they showed us this picture in the book Sam was reading for a reason too, but that might sound too tinfoily. You could say it's really only relevant to the plot to be used to kill Littlefinger, but I have a feeling it's going to be more important even after that. Considering who Arya Stark has become, what else could you see her doing for the rest of the series? She's not just going to use this dagger one time then put it on a shelf. It's probably going to stay on her hip at all times, unless it's in her hand while she's killing someone, and hopefully that someone is some White Walkers when the time comes. So comment down below and let me know what you thought about the quick sparring scene with Arya and Brienne. Assuming you have seen the episode, or at least this clip, let me know if you liked the scene or not. How awesome did Arya look against Brienne? I'm very curious to see where her story leads now that she's back in the north right before the wall comes down, and she has Valyrian steel now. This dagger is a perfect weapon for an assassin, and that's exactly what Arya has became. I will be releasing my full review and breakdown of this episode after it airs on Sunday night. So thanks for coming by and watching this video. I'll be heading down into the comment section to try and catch up on all the new comments that I've received over the past 48 hours. So hopefully I'll see all of you down there too. And one last thing before I go, I have to thank all of my Patreon supporters. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this channel. I really appreciate that, and I hope everyone has a good day. Bye.